All right, welcome to section 2.5, multiplication of real numbers. We have two goals for you today. One, I can multiply real numbers using properties of multiplication. And two, I can multiply real numbers to solve real life problems. Again, we have a third verse to row, row, row your boat. So now using the same tune, substitute the words with multiply and divide. It's an easy thought. Same signs are positive, different signs are not. So this is saying that if we have two signs that are the same, so for example, if they're both positive, then your answer is also going to be positive. If we have two numbers that are negative, then your answer is going to be positive. If we have one positive and one negative, then our answer is going to be negative. Or if the first one's negative and the second one's positive, it's still going to be negative. So those are the rules that we have to use for this. So here we go. Let's look at example 1, part A. So if I have 6 times 3, we're first going to take 6 times 3, which is 18. Positive times a negative is a negative, using the fact that the different signs are not. So it's an easy thought. So this will give me negative 18. If I take 2 times 8, the signs are the same, so it's going to be a positive number. 2 times 8 is 16. Letter C, my signs are the same, so it's going to be positive. 7 times 3 is 21. Letter D, negative 6 times 4. The signs are not the same, so it's going to be a negative. So it's going to be negative 24. All right, let's look at example 2. Now we have some variables. It's still the same concept, though. We're taking negative 2 times negative 7. So negative times a negative will give me a positive. I'll have 14, and I can't do anything with the x, so I just have to put it on the side, behind it, so it's still saying 14 times x. Letter B. If I have something like this, first thing I have to do is I have to still follow my order of operations. So by my order of operations, I have to do the exponent first. So the squared is referring to the y. It is not referring to the negative. So I'm going to have negative y squared. So this is actually saying negative 1 times y squared, and we know negative 1 times y squared will just give us negative y squared. On part C, I know that let's do my negatives first. We can use the commutative property of multiplications, multiply in any order we want. So negative y times negative y. I have those two. I know that it's going to be a positive number, so it's going to be y squared. I'm going to multiply this by 8. So I have 8y squared. Letter D, be careful because that negative sign is not part of that squared. So the squared I have to do first. I have to take everything inside the parentheses and square it. So 3 squared is 9. X squared is x squared. We have the negative out front, so if we do that, our answer is going to be negative 9x squared. All right, let's do a couple more where we have to evaluate the expression when x equals negative 2. What we're going to do is we're going to take negative 2 and we're going to plug it in for x. So it'll be negative 12 times negative 2. And then I'm going to multiply this by negative 3. So I have to know what negative 12 times negative 2 is. A negative times a negative is a positive. So 12 times 2 is 24. Then what I have to do is I have to multiply 24 times 3. I know since it's a positive times a negative, my answer will be a negative. And this will give me negative 72. Let's do the second one, part B. So if I do negative 2, going to be negative 2 squared plus negative 2 minus 1. Now notice, only the negative 2 is being squared, not the 2. We have to do the exponent before we multiply, so negative 2 times negative 2 gives you positive 4. Order of operations tells us we need to do multiplication first, so 2 times 4 is 8. 8 plus negative 2 minus 1. Now I know if I do these, the signs are different, so I'm going to subtract these two. Keep the sign the larger number, so it's going to be a plus. 6 minus 1 is 5. All right, the last example. To promote its grand opening, a car lot advertises used cars for $5,000. The car lot loses $1,500 on each used car it sells. How much money will the store lose on its grand opening sales if it sells 7 used cars? So if we do this, we know that we are going to start with $4,500. We know it's going to lose $300 on each car that it sells. If it sells 12 cars, I know that it's going to lose $300 times 12. Because for every car that's sold, it's going to lose $300. So what I'm going to do is multiply the number of cars by 300. Now if I do this, I will get 3,600. Whoops. Actually, do I even need to know this? Probably not, because this wouldn't make sense if I had 4,500. Sorry. Because the car, it just tells us that used cars for 45. Oh, I'm not even doing the right problem. Let's try this one over again. All right, here we go. To promote its grand opening, a car lot advertises its used cars for $5,000. The car loses $1,500 in each used car it sells. How much money will the store lose on its grand opening sales if it sells 7 cars? All right, if it's $5,000, we know the car loses $1,500. This piece of information is all great, but it's not really important. We know that they're going to lose $1,500. So it's going to be negative $1,500 for every car that they sell. Now we know that if they sell 7 cars, we want to find out how much they lose just by multiplying these two values. So 1,500 times 7 is 10,500. It's a negative amount, so this is how much they're going to lose. They're going to lose $10,500. We actually didn't need the $5,000. All we need to know is that they're losing $1,500 for each car sale.